Yes, people will just carry on. So we designed our first project in Spring Boot, and we're just able to display the get the output, is it not? We're able to just get the output. Hmm? So now if you just see the URL, localhost 8082. So normally URL will be the name of the project also should be there, right? Name of the project also should be there. So directly we are accessing, just look here, /test. So prior to test, you should have what? The name of the application. Name of the application. So you can just observe it's not there. So where we can just give that again in application dot properties. Okay. So we can just give that in the application dot properties. So you can just look at server dot servlet dot context paths equals slash, for example, CDAC. Got the point? So I'm just giving the servlet context path, one property in the properties file. So this will be the name of your application. This will be the name of your project. I mean, say Amazon we have now. Similarly, I have CDAC as my name. So now I'll go to the dashboard and just try to restart here. So here now I need to, if I want to access that, right? So just look here. I'll try to refresh. I'm getting 404 not found. So you need to access with slash CDAC. So this will be the name of the website. Now I'm getting. Okay. So in the next case also, you should access as CDAC slash test. CDAC slash test. So like that. Okay. So this is how we should be doing that. So this is one more property. So like that, we'll be having other properties also. We'll see that later. So we just give the name to your application in the application.properties. So now we written a controller where it's displaying a static text. Is it not? I will just try to display the static data. Just try to display the static data. So I'll create a model class. I'll create a model class. So I'll go to the base package, create a new class, create a new class. So I'll change it to hello world dot model. I'll create a sub package under that model and we'll give the class name as employee, for example. We class name as employee. Okay. So we'll create a variables private empid private string first name comma last name email. Okay, so we'll just create these three fields and we'll just try to generate the Kerazan. Yeah, before that, constructor using fields. I'll generate constructor using fields. Then I'll generate Keras and Saras. Okay, so we'll just try to display tabular data. We'll just try to display tabular data. So I'm not connecting to the database. Instead of that, we're just trying to create an array list. We'll create an array list of type employee on the controller. So this will be the fields. This will be the fields. We'll initialize the values for the employee through the constructor. Then we'll just try to display it. Okay, we'll just try to display it. So we'll go to the controller here. Hello world controller. We're not giving any annotations as of now. Why? Because we're not connecting to the database. We're not using any database things. So we're just creating a static data in the controller. So if you just type this get M and press control space, you'll get the template automatically. Okay. So I'll make it for employees. We'll make it for employees. So return type will be of type list of type employee. Hmm. So from util import the employee. So we're not taking any parameter. So this will be useful only when we use what? Forms or you're passing some values. Okay. As of now it is will be empty. So we'll create an object of employee. So I'm just creating some static data. Okay. So now we'll create a list of type employee. We'll create a list of type employee. Okay. EMP list. We're just trying to create an array list. Okay. So it's not mandatory now. It is. So to this, we're just trying to add the object we created. E1. So now what we are returning? We're returning EMP list. Okay. Yes. So this is the code. Imagine we are getting this data from database. Think that you are getting data from a database. Okay. Static data. So we're just adding it. We're just trying to return it. So you need to give a call to which one? Employees. You need to give a call to the employees. Okay. So we need to restart a server. We need to restart a server. Yeah. So instead of here, I'm just saying employees. So what is this data? JSON data. This is JSON data. Why I'm getting in this format? because we are given annotation. So I'm getting this data in the, because I'm giving REST controller. So REST controller is the annotation which will always, which is used to manage or return REST APIs. Okay, in XML or a JSON, by default it is coming in the form of JSON. So nowadays everyone will use JSON only instead of XML. So when I'm just trying to, that's what, give this, we are getting the data from the array, but in which format? JSON format. If you just see, if you open this in what is that? Chrome, you are getting not that in particular format, because in IE I have the JSON format one plugin. In Internet Explorer Edge, I have the JSON format plugin. That's why it's coming in JSON format. But here also we can add that plugin, then you'll get it. Okay, now we are getting in a normal format as you see in the browser. Okay, so what we did, people. So we have this return type as of type list, and we're just returning that. So rest are all taken care by what? REST controller annotation. Everything is taken care by REST controller annotation. So employee ID. So this is the JSON data. This is one object, second object, third object. So why we are using REST controller? Because we are not using any view technology. We are not using any view technology. So when we use view technology, this will be remote to controller. This will be changed to controller. So when I talk about view technology, JSP, Timeleaf, all those things. So if you're using now this data has to be consumed where? This is the data. Now think that this data is sent by CDAC. For example, I'm telling to Make My Trip or some other organization. So they will receive it, they will format it in their page, apply CSS, and they'll display in that particular view. So that's what Make My Trip does. So Make My Trip is just displaying the data. Data is coming from external services. External, correct. External REST APIs. And do you think everyone can access that? No. I need to make an agreement for sharing the data. We need to pay. But there are some free web APIs also. There are some free web APIs. For example, weather APIs are there. Weather API is there. Yahoo. In some cases, there are free. In some cases, we need to pay. Okay. So now just look here. Now, cricket. When the cricket matches happen, every website will display the cricket scores. Of course. Now, for example, I'm telling, if one company has taken that rights from ICC for getting the scores on a web, so all the other companies, for example, NDTV, in their website also they display the scores. So from there, where they're getting, they might get it from some cricket APIs, web APIs. So like that. So it keeps on changing. So weather API is there, then temperature. You'll see the temperatures today, right? So different cities. So that is also API. So someone is providing. So in API, there are two people. One is the provider and there is a consumer. One is the provider and there is a consumer. The provider is providing the data and consumer is taking the data and displaying it. So like that. Okay. So this data will be used for different purposes by different applications. So this has to be consumed in React or Angular applications. Okay. So now we'll create a web application. One more application here. And we try to use JSP. We'll just try to use JSP, and we also try to connect to the database. We'll also just try to connect to the database. Okay. So I'll close all the files here. So once you finish the job, if you want, you can stop the server. You can stop the server. So I'll create a new application. Again, we'll go for Spring Starter project. So this, I'll just make it as inventory. I'll create a project with the name inventory. I'll create a project with the name inventory. So here group, same com.cdac.training, package, training dot inventory. Okay. Springboard application for inventory management. For inventory management. So the rest all will remain same. The rest all will remain same. Select training, yeah, everything is same. Now this is very much important. Selecting the dependencies. Okay. So Spring Web already it was previously selected. Spring Web now it was always so it's coming here. Frequently use. I select this. Fine. So now I'll use MySQL. I'll use MySQL. So I'll search for I'll get the driver. MySQL driver. MySQL driver. Hmm. Next, we're using something called as Spring Data JPA. Okay. As I told you, we will not be using Hibernate. Make a life of a database programmer still easy. In the previous case, we just look at JDBC, handling, then creating a connection statement object, everything was coded by the user. When we came to Hibernate, no try catch, no creating a connection, only we are writing the queries, is it not? So now we are not writing the queries also here. Basic queries, but advanced queries we need to write. The basic queries like displaying all the records, inserting a record, deleting a record, finding a record by an ID, everything is pre-configured. Just you need to call the method. So that's the beauty of Spring Data JPA. So that's why I'll search for JPA. I'll search for JPA. I'll get this Spring Data JPA. So you can just see whatever has been selected is coming here. Okay. Next, I'll search for Spring Development Tools. Springboard Development Tools. This one. I just for DEV. Search for DEV. Now just look here. What is this? Each time when I make changes, what happens? I need to restart the server. In the previous example, right? Each time I make some code changes, I need to restart the servers. Now if you're adding this, the server will be automatically restarted once you make changes. If you make any changes now, server will restart automatically. So that is why I'm selecting Dev Tools. Okay. So getting this, just look here. Dev Tools, Data JPA, MySQL Driver, and Spring Web. Okay. So these are the 4 dependencies enough for creating a web application. Fine. So that's all. Click on next and just say finish. Yes. So you can just look here. The inventory project is created and it has this boot and dev tools as a option here. Okay. So boot for referring it as a boot project and development tool refers to the server will automatically get restarted. Okay. So just look here, people. As you can just recheck your pom.xml file here. Data JPA, web, dev tools, MySQL connector J. So everything is automatically added. So we don't have the worry of adding the dependencies and checking about the version. So that's all. I'll go to XRC main Java. My base package is there. And by default, this particular file is also created. Yeah, this will be the entry point. Okay. When I start the server, this will act as the entry point. This will act as a entry point. Here also front controller is there. Okay. Here also front controller is there. So front controller will direct to this. And here we are looking for which one? The user controllers. This will look for the user controller. So which is the user controller previously? It was which one? Hello World. Hello World was the controller. No? We create a Hello World application. That was the name. It will look for the Hello World controller and that is giving you the output. Okay, when a user make a request. So when we did this, CRAC employees, user will make a request. First request will go to which one? Front controller. So front controller is configured again in that Spring Boot application. Indirectly, the Spring Boot application. So front controller will look for which one? User controller. So where is user controller? Here. We're getting this. User controller is this one. So it will look for this slash, the root, then test, then employees. This is what we did previously. So now we'll go to application.properties file. After this, okay, after we just create a project, verify the pom.xml. Now we'll go to application.properties. It's under SRC main resources, application.properties. So if you want, you can change the port numbers and all those things. So here, I'll add first the Tomcat properties as usual. Okay. The servlet context path, I'm just giving IMS, or if you want, you can just make it as inventory as usual. Inventory. Okay. So next, I will give the database properties. Next, we'll give the database properties, people. So this is the same whatever we did previously. But we are writing in the properties format. Huh? Spring.jpa.hibernate DDL auto. You know this, right? What is this? Name of the database URL, username, password. If there is any errors logging, it should show the warnings. Okay, so that's the thing. Next, as I told you, we'll be using the JSP. We'll be using JSP, means we are using Vue technology. So that is why we are giving these properties. Okay, so here you can just look here. Views prefix will be views and extension will be .jsp and your static will be here. Static patterns will be here. I mean to say images, CSS, all those things will be under resources static. Okay, so these are the Vue properties. These are the Vue properties, and these are the Tomcat properties. Fine. So this is the only configuration file we need to use. That's all. So yeah. So the next step is creating a controller. The next step is creating controller. So new class. So package, I'll just make it as dot controller. Hmm? Maybe controller. BitPay controller. I just we'll just create a JSP file to display one open API of the Bitcoins. I'll just try to create a JSP file to display the contents of the open API BitPay. Okay. So I'll just show you people. There's one open API from the bitpay.com. Okay. So HTTPS bitpay.com API slash rates. What is it? It's displaying the Bitcoin rates. It's displaying the Bitcoin rates for the various currencies. In which format? JSON format. Now think that this is the list of the flights of a Indigo. Okay. So this I'm trying to access in a JSP file and we will display it. That is what people do nowadays. So you can just look here. We'll also find this rupees. What is Indian currency? Rupees, na? Huh? Right, Naina. It is there. Afghanistan ka hai, Indian sugar. Okay, Indian rupee. I know stuff. So this is the value for the Bitcoin. Okay, this is dynamic data. We are pulling it from the bitpay.com. So like that, you can search for any of the websites. For example, you can just look here. I can search for free weather API. I'll search for free weather API without key. I'll search like this sometimes. Okay. So just look here. You might have heard about this open weather API. So like that, there are so many weather APIs. Yeah, big list of free open public APIs. No authorization required. So like this, there are lots of APIs. Just look here, art and images. Now just look here. We can get the images. Now if the image URL is there, now I can fetch that and also I can display in my what in my project. That is also possible. In this, now in this one will be image URL. One property will be image URL. For example, a person's images. So that also can be displayed in a image tag in JSP file or in a React JS anywhere. So we'll just try to create a JSP file to display this data. So it's coming from bitpay.com. Okay. So that's why they're just giving this as controller. Yeah. So in this case, as I told you, we'll be using what? JSP as a view. So instead of REST controller, we're using controller. We're using controller. As we did the same way, how did we do in the Spring? Similarly, we are just trying to do that. Okay. So we'll write a simple method here to display the JSP file. That's all. To display the JSP file. So it should be get mapping slash bitpay. So what's your next job? What is this? What is this? returns logical name of what? View. It returns the logical name of the view. So what is the next job? You need to create a JSP file with the name bit underscore pay. We need to create a JSP file with the name bit underscore pay. This we did yesterday. Hmm? So just look here. We need to create a folder called as views because my views will be under views. Okay. So where is this? SRC main. So here we need to create a new folder. Web app. Well, we need to create a new folder. Web app. This is a project, no? Yeah, web app. Under web app, you need to create a new folder. Views. SRC main. Na? Under that we have a views. So under this, you need to create this file. What is that? Bitpay. So create a new JSP file. So name of that file will be BitPay. So I'm creating this bitpay.jsp. So Bitcoin rates. So it has the style also. We are styling it. And I also have a script. Okay. A jQuery script for that. So that I'll just refer in the head. That I'll just refer in the head. Okay. So we have a CSS. So that's why we're defining it here. And I have a JavaScript code. Okay. Then in the body we have this. So actually, I'm using the jQuery stuff here. Okay. I'm using the jQuery one code for getting the data. Next. Yeah, fine. So the code is done. This is just to show, okay. This is just to show how the REST APIs are consumed. Okay. Again, I'm telling this is just a jQuery code or a JavaScript code. This is not of a Spring Boot. I'm using one jQueries to fetch the data, REST APIs. Okay. So later we'll use Spring Boot. So for that, we need to do some theory. So just quickly, I'm just showing you the jQuery. Just look here, people. This particular method. It is fetching the data from bitpay.com and formatting that using the displaying that using the table. The same data how it was displayed in this format. Now we'll just try to display that in a JSP file. So you can just go to the boot dashboard. You need to start the application. Start the application. Okay, problem with this. So as of now, we'll just comment this. We're not using that now. I'll just remove this. Okay, I'll just remove this. So we're not connecting the database. Just we require the Tomcat server and the this part. Hmm? Okay. So I have used this JPA. That is why we will look for the database. This is one more issue. Hmm? I'll comment that as of now. MySQL connector also. Later we'll add it. Hmm? Yes, my application is up. My application is up. Now just look in Springboard. What is the beauty is I can run both applications at a time. I can also start my Hello World as well as inventory. Means this is my app server which is hosting two applications, which is that Hello World and inventory. So that's why I can access inventory as well as Hello World at a time. Hmm? Okay, so what is that? BitPay, na? Controller. It will take me to BitPay. It is running in 8080. Why is that given na different? Okay, 1 minute. Let me check. So what should be the URL? As of now, I'll go for 8080 only. Slash inventory. Slash inventory. Okay. And what is it? BitPay, right? Yeah. BitPay. Yeah. So not an issue. I'm getting a white label error page. It means, so just to verify that my application is accessing or not, I can write a one controller here. I can write one method, okay, just to verify. So just look here. Hello from BitPay. I'm not bothered about what method name. We're not bothered about method name. If anything, we are getting through this URL mapping names. Okay. This is also called as endpoint. These are called as endpoint of the REST API. This full thing is called as endpoint of REST API. Okay. So BitPay. Yeah, now it is updated 8085. Got the point? That's a problem. Okay. Now it is updated. It is running in 8085. Okay. The problem here is when you're just trying to access the JSP, when you have a JSP, now we require one, what is that? Dependency. One dependency we need to add. An extra dependency you need to add when you're working with the JSP. That's why you're getting this white label error page. Okay. If you're using, just look in the previous example, what we did? What we did? REST controller. There was no issue. But when you're using one technology, they require one more dependency for that. So Tomcat Jasper. We need to add the Tomcat Jasper. So I'll go to Only if you're using JSP, okay? Now, this is one drawback. This clearly tells that no one will use JSP with the Spring Boot. Huh? So, I'll go to the Maven repository as we did previously and search for Tomcat Jasper. Tomcat Jasper. Hmm? Which version of it? This one, Tomcat Embed Jasper, okay? Tomcat Embed Jasper. Hmm? So any versions you can take because we are not providing the versions. You need to remove that. This version part you need to remove that. Why? Because it will download it based on what? The Spring Boot version. It will be downloaded based on a Spring Boot version. So I'm just adding this Tomcat Jasper, but I'll remove the version. I'll remove the version and just try to save it. So just look out. After making changes, automatically my server will be restarting. Did you observe that? You make any changes, server will be automatically restart. So now we'll just go and check. Again, it's starting at 8080. So just try to update the Tomcat once, just a minute. Yes. Okay. After we added the Tomcat Jasper, na, that error, white label error had gone. Updated it. So this is the value. This is the REST API. This is the REST API that we are receiving through jQuery in a JSP application, and we're just displaying that in a tabular format. What we did? We applied CSS. We applied CSS to a table. Similarly, all these people do that. Make my trip, then TripAdvisor, all those things where they get the data from other sources, na, they will do that only. They will get the REST APIs and they will consume it and they will display in this format. Okay. So this particular data, you can just observe here, this particular data is consumed here. So who is the provider? Bitpay.com. The provider is bitpay.com. So that is, we're just trying to get that using jQuery in JavaScript and we are just trying to display. Okay. Similarly, now we need to do with our own data in Spring Boot. We'll get our own data and we'll try to get these data, etc. So now we are created one web application, views bitpay.jsp, and we're just trying to display that data. Clear? Yes. So now